You are about to hear the delusional ramblings of a self-proclaimed Mario Party superfan. You see, back in the early 2010s when I'd browse the internet looking for the public's opinion on Mario Party games, what I saw was that Mario Party 4 was the most popular game. And by a landslide. I didn't agree with it, I couldn't comprehend it, really it's just an out-of-pocket opinion shared by the masses. But since then, Mario Party 4 has aged very poorly. Whenever I see this game being discussed today, it's because Mario Party 4 has the best minigames in the series, and that everything else has lost its shimmer. Now where do I stand on this discourse? Well, that's what this video's about. I'll start by revealing a bias I have against Mario Party 4. It jumped me on the streets. I got my GameCube very late into its life, in the winter of 2005, so all 4 Mario Parties on the console were already available. And of them, Mario Party 4 was the one I got to play last. It's an interesting position, as I'm sure most people worked their way up chronologically, and since Mario Party 4 was the series' leap forward onto new hardware, the game has a ton of sentimental value compared to its sequels. So needless to say, I didn't have that bond with Mario Party 4, so the fanfare the game received confused me. But cutting the emotions, Mario Party 4 has a niche against its GameCube competition, and that's because after this game, the rules of Mario Party are going to change. So 4 is the only classic era game on the console, and all that really means is that items have different mechanics. But just to take a step back and compare this era of games, I feel like 4 has an identity crisis. For a long time, I've considered this game as a Mario Party 3.5, because despite its efforts to improve the series, the game feels rushed and underdeveloped. And my biggest reason for this claim is with its presentation. Just like in 3, the story starts with the Mario crew gathering outside Peach's castle, but instead of encountering the reality-twisting Millennium Star, they are met with a suspicious white cubular vehicle that abducts everyone. Hosting this party is the staff of the previous games, and that's a fun idea. Mario Party 1 focused on the playable characters, and a generation later, the torch is passed down to the working class. Toad gets to renew his contract, but here he's joined by Koopa the Banker, Goomba the Battle Director, Boo the Pickpocket, and Shy Guy the Elite Gamer. The rules are a departure from 3, returning to Mario Party 2's format of the host explaining the rules and selling stars, but at least they get their own boards, and I gotta compare these to Mario Party 1's maps, which thematically represented each character besides Luigi. But this game doesn't really do that. Boo has a Haunted Mansion board. Okay, cool. Easiest map to design. Goomba, Casino. I mean, my top 3 things to associate Goombas with are vehicular manslaughter, poop, and the overthrowing of Benito Mussolini, but gambling's top 30. Why isn't this Shy Guy's board? That was literally his deal. But instead, his board is jungle themed. Koopa's is at a beach, which only gets a buy because Mario Kart 64 exists, and Toad has 6 flags. The story is really simple. Whoever you play as, it's their birthday. Thanks for just killing all continuity. You gotta win game boards to earn presents from the hosts, and somehow I've completed this 4 times, alright? That's experience. You can't refute any of the criticisms I'm about to make. I'm certified at the advanced level, fam. The format is pretty similar to Mario Party 3. Win the board, do a duel, get a chair. The difference is that there really aren't any cutscenes, which were the highlight, and duel mode is dead, so you'll just play a duel minigame. They're giving me nothing to work with. Well, I found the ending kind of funny, but only because I picked Peach. As you could probably guess, Bowser and Koopa Kid have the final board, and the duel is a whole-ass final boss fight. And we even get a present from the big guy.
Oh.
Is it too late to ask for a gift card? There's one more cutscene to tie things up, and it's a present from the Star, which has randomly decided it wants to be a character now, and it gives us a constellation. Before we get into the boards, let's go over some rule changes. The biggest one for me are the items. Looking back at Mario Party 3, that game had a huge selection of items that invited all sorts of strategies. What if they disappeared? Check this out. No mushroom, no skeleton key, no plunder chest, no cellular shopper, no warp block, no Hoosker do's, no Hoosker don'ts, no Nipsey daisies with or without the scooter stick. Really, there's just no fun allowed. Most of the new items are reskin versions of the ones God took back. So Lucky Lamp is replaced with the Chomp Call, and Boo Repellent is now the Gadlight. Some items get their mechanics altered too, like the warp block is now a warp pipe, but it uses a roulette to determine its target, and the barter box is called a swap card, and you guessed it, there's a roulette. I feel like these items do their darndest to encourage you not to buy them. Like, I hope you enjoy Magic Lamps and Boo's Crystal Ball, because that's the new meta. Mario Party 4 has a gimmick, Mini and Mega Mushrooms. The entire game has been reconstructed to appease these two, and it is a fiasco. Item spaces no longer have mini-games or philosophical questions. Pick a box, get a shroom. Going Mega is essentially like using a red mushroom, but if you pass other players, you'll steal 10 of their coins. But with great power comes great responsibility, because when you're a big decrepit looking goblin, nobody wants to talk to you. You can't buy stars, you can't use shops, you have to take calculated risks with this item, weigh the odds of overshooting your destination. It complicates the game, but instead of making me applaud the strategy, I'm wishing for a regular mushroom instead. And then the mini mushroom is the definition of useless. Let's start with the fact that Skeleton Keys died for this. Boards no longer have doors, but a couple orange pipes that guys under 5'6" can fit inside. The difference is that you can't use a mushroom at the pipe, so that means it fucking sucks. It only rolls up to 5, so if you're 3 spaces away, you have a 40% chance of not getting to use the pipe and wasting your turn. How do you think it feels to be 6 spaces away? I was trying to figure out the overall probability you'll have to successfully use a pipe, and adding every permutation of dice rolls that can occur to get into the 5-space zone and then using the mini die once you're in there, I think it's a 30% chance to succeed. Which is terrible! If you're wondering why you'd even want to use the pipe, the answer is you don't. Chance time is locked behind them, and so is Boo on a few maps. The real pain is when a star spawns behind one, which typically stalls the game until somebody purchases a Chomp Call or Magic Lamp. And we're not even done with the mini mush, because each board has 2 areas where you can play a micro game, but only if you're small. One has items, and the other has coins, but I would never recommend wasting a turn to play these unless you're at the space directly in front of one. Ultimately, I would prefer the Cursed Mushroom, since it can be used on other players. There's a hammer item that kind of serves this purpose. It can turn another player big or small, and I can see a lot of potential with this. Make someone big so they can't buy a star or interact with a gimmick, or shrink them to slow their pace. If you really want to be that guy, you can carry 3 of them to block someone from using items for 3 turns. But the more I thought about it, the Chomp Call does most of what the hammer can, but without a roulette to fumble. And there's another item that plays around with the mushrooms, the Sparky Sticker. Place it on the ground, and the next person to pass it loses 10 coins. And if they're using a mushroom, the sticker nullifies it. I can't recommend it though, because they cost 15 coins at the shop and are useful in very specific but very unlikely situations. There's also supersized versions of the mini and mega shrooms that add another die, and then the really rare Bowser suit, which steals 30 coins but only rolls 1 die. And that's every item. Without a doubt, this is a massive downgrade from 3. That game's meta was fluid because so many items had the ability to threaten other players. But in 4, I feel like a lot of items punish you for using them, which results in a more toxic experience. I also noticed that the mushrooms make computer players act really stupid. Like, they would rather use a mini mushroom to roll a 1 if it meant getting a mega mushroom instead of actually using their turn wisely. Stuff like this happens enough for it to be noteworthy, so be warned, this is one of the easier Mario parties to play alone. Returning to changes and additions, banks are gone, which I'm mixed on because losing them takes away a minute hurdle to strategize around, but in their place is the lottery, which gives players the opportunity to gamble 5 coins for a super mushroom or more coins. You also receive a lottery ticket the first time you visit, which may win a star during the final 5 turns, but I've never witnessed it. Bowser minigames return for the first time since Mario Party 1, and they are incredibly rare. I played 14 boards for this video and only got 3. Chance time's been nerfed for this pachinko machine to determine trades. There's a warp space now, which launches whoever landed on it to another player. If you land on a battle space, you get to choose the minigame, which may provide a slight advantage. Occasionally, minigames become lucky, which doubles or triples the reward, and I alluded to these before, but item, duel, and game guy minigames are gone, which obviously affects gameplay. Want a bold opinion? Mario Party 4 has the series' worst game boards. I thought 3s were pretty bad because the majority of them have gimmicks that prevent you from going where you want to go, but 4 decided to crank that shit up. Want to play a 20-turn game and lose on the first roll? Some maps let you do that. That's the level of fuckery we've entered. Boards have gimmicks that feel more like traps, like you're Sisyphus pushing a boulder uphill only for it to inevitably tumble down. Maybe it sounds fun if you're into the cruelness of Mario Party 1, but I find these to be irredeemably irritating. And what better board to start with than Toad's Midway Madness? Immediately, this map goes for debauchery. It has these teacup rights that alternate where players are dropped off, and on the first one, the even numbered position exists solely as a walk of shame. So every game, one player will have to run around the corner 2 times before they can actually participate. That's a 33 space penalty, which can be a huge deficit to overcome. During my playthrough of the story, Donkey Kong ran around here 4 times, left for 2 turns to buy a magic lamp, and then warped back to the death loop on his next turn. So he spent the entire game in the bottom right corner. The other teacup isn't as bad, but it controls a shop, and Boo, which can be pretty pivotal. If there's something positive about this gimmick, it's that the mushrooms take advantage of it. If you want to reach the cups sooner, a Mega Mushroom will do the job. And if you're next to someone and the cups aren't going the right way, the Mini Mushroom is especially helpful. That being said, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Without those, this would have been a great board. The layout's nice, and the map's other gimmick is fantastic. Divine the board is a roller coaster, and happening spaces on its track can send anybody on it to the left or right side, so you can even ride it to earn some coins. It just sucks that one person is going to have a bad time unless they get lucky enough to land on the warp space in the death loop. Another board with an offensively bad gimmick is Koopa's Seaside Soiree. This map has a pretty unique design, starting with a linear path along the center, ending in a split that forces players to the left or right halves, but where it loses steam is when you hit the walls, where the banana junctions lie. Here, the game decides where you'll go, and if it picks wrong, you may be walking a 30 space detour, or even worse, getting death looped. Since this is Koopa's board, the bank makes an appearance. At the first intersection is a plot of land designated for a resort, and every time it's passed, that player must please deposit 5 coins to upgrade it. And the rules here are devilish. Think of the bank from Bowser Land in Mario Party 2. Whoever lands in a happening space around the resort will have to pay up the pot. A bad roll can change the tide of the game. And speaking of which, when that happens, a big kahuna will knock over the hotel and reset the bank. There's one more thing to mention, and it's the happening spaces over the ocean. These summon dolphins with PhDs to warp you around the map, and depending on the situation, these are excellent shortcuts or devastating gut punches. Get rid of the banana junctions and add more of these, and I think this board could be a blast. Shy Guy's Jungle Jam keeps things simple. It's 2 islands connected by bridges, and the gimmick is that the happening spaces located after them have a 50% chance of flooding the river for up to 3 turns. And the way they do it is so funny. Shy Guy says, "Find God." And Donkey Kong prayed. Even when the bridges are blocked, there isn't a bad side to be on. Left has a tiny loop with a shop that you might be able to finesse into a Boo visit, and the right side could stand alone as its own thing if it really wanted to. There's other means to cross the river, like with an actual raft, or you can fly above it with Klepto. The only complaint I really have about this map is when the star spawns behind the orange pipes. But it could be a lot worse. Boo's Haunted Bash has a cool idea that gets bogged down by its star spawns. Paths will appear and disappear depending on if Pink Boo is around, and anytime someone passes him, they'll switch. Some stars become inaccessible if Pink Boo is gone, but the way the board is designed, bringing him back is usually a bad decision, because talking to him means you're skipping a Boo who can steal coins and stars, and you're also likely making the star available for your opponent instead of yourself. So magic lamps and chomp calls become the only way to keep the game going. One fix that would have improved this map is by making the mystery train at the top optional. When Pink Boo is gone, you're forced to ride this, and it skips locations like the lottery, an opening to Pink Boo, and Big Boo, who makes a return from Mario Party 2. Once again, he steals from everybody at the same time, but he can only be activated if 3 players land on one of 2 happening spaces while Pink Boo is around. He's got this cool Doomsday Clock aesthetic, but you'll probably never see it strike midnight unless you're playing a 50-turn game. All things considered, this is a fine board, but only because both shops are easy to access. But now let's enter hell. Goomba's Greedy Gala is the Taj Mahal of death loops. This is for his island hopping board, but it is extremely restrictive. You start in the bottom right corner where a roulette picks an island for you. It has this mechanic in place where you can pay to buff your odds of landing where the star is. It starts at 5 coins and caps off at 20, and apparently the difference between these 2 values is barely worth going all in, but spending any coins will significantly help you out. And after the game picks an island, you're stuck there forever. You can't return to the roulette. The only way to guarantee escape is to pass Goomba, who challenges you to roll higher than him. Win to stay, lose to leave. God help you if you're in the bottom left corner. Each island has other methods to break out, but they require lucky dice rolls. Bottom left has an orange pipe leading to top left has happening spaces that connect to top right, and then the right half of the board actually connects in a clockwise cycle. Yeah, this is like Mario Party 3's Creepy Cavern on steroids, and what's really got me fucked up is that Goomba's Greedy Gala is this game's most popular board. Quit fucking lying! The prevailing opinion in the fan base is that island hopping boards suck. Like, I'm literally the only person on this planet who enjoys them. Don't tell me with absolute sincerity that Goomba's Greedy Gala is the most popular board and was once the most popular game. Like, I know that sounds like bait, but it's true! And closing out the selection is Bowser's Gnarly Party. So dude, let's talk about the death loop. This board features bridges that switch their destination after 3 people use them. Can you figure out where they fucked it up? Yeah, whoever is the slowest needs to walk around 51 spaces before they can enter the rest of the map. And it gets worse, because by the time the other 3 players finish their first lap around the board, there's a real possibility they'll reach the bridge right after the 1 player reset it, which will lock them out a second time. At least there's a shop here, so you might be able to escape sooner. But this board's not done yet. Bowser is always present, and he won't let you pass him easily. Normally he takes half of your coins, but he responds differently when you're using a mushroom. Shrink and he'll launch you to the center of the map, or grow to fight him in one of two minigames, Bowser Wrestling and Panels of Doom. Bowser also likes to minimize everybody every 4 or 5 turns, which wastes the turn and also prevents you from using items. And sprinkled in the corners are happening spaces that will burn an item if you stop on them. And that concludes the game boards. Are these unplayable? No. Was I too rough on them? No. I don't want to undersell how garbage this game is. If you want to play classic Mario Party or a Mario Party on the GameCube, this is the last game I'd recommend. Anybody, please tell me why this game was the fan favorite for as long as it was. Well, maybe it's the minigames. Like I said, Mario Party 4 is still acclaimed for having one of the best collections in the entire series. And I gotta be real with you guys. This is one of the worst, I promise. If you ask anybody what minigames are worth playing, they'll name drop Booksquirm and Dungeon Duos, and that's it. Like deadass, Mario Party 4 is as popular as it is because people are sucking off these two games. And that praise is deserved. Booksquirm is on par with Hexagon Heat as a survival minigame that speeds up the longer it goes, and Dungeon Duos is one of the longest and equally engaging minigames in the entire series. But the rest of 4's selection is really mediocre, and when there's only 43 minigames that can appear during a game board, we get into Mario Party 1 levels of repetition. To highlight some free-for-all games, Domination is the quintessential button masher. It's like Mecha Marathon from Mario Party 2, but you're only tapping the A button, and this time the game tracks how many button presses are made, which makes it fun to replay since it definitively records your skills. 3 throws cool, it's like Castaways from Mario Party 1, but faster paced and with button controls. But if you're on the inside, you'll get absolutely rinsed. Toad's Quick Draw is great because it combines reaction time, accuracy, and luck all in one game, and I'll give honorable mentions to Mr. Blizzard's Brigade and Avalanche. But now here's some duds. For a limited selection, quite a few games play like each other. Slime Time and Take a Breather are just Domination with a coat of paint, Manta Rings is the baby version of Avalanche, and we can't ignore that all these games are button mashers, which is a genre I enjoy, but there's a noticeable absence of platforming and Toad in the Box. I thought the puzzle games were underwhelming. Bob-omb Breakers puts everyone in the same arena, but it's another game where 2 people have a clear disadvantage, and Photo Finish is just too simple. Mario Speedwagons would have been fun if it had more depth than 4 QuickTime events, and no amount of Nintendo history will save Long Claw of the Law from being boring. 2 vs 2 has one of the most neutral collections ever. Like, I don't think these suck, but I'm not in love with them either. I talked about Dungeon Duels already, which is my favorite minigame in Mario Party 4, but I want to explain why it's so good. It mixes button mashing, platforming, observation, luck, and rhythm all in one package that takes a minute and a half to complete. This is one of those games I could play over and over again to try and improve my time on. And for some highlights, Order Up's a great memory game. Reverse-A-Bomb is like the perfect execution of a tug-of-war game. Cheep Cheep Sweep, I think, is super underappreciated. It's slow-paced, tests patience, and being able to guide the fish opens up some moment-to-moment strategy. And Right or Left has some merit the 20th time around. 1 vs 3 has some flops, but that's usually where minigames falter. I don't understand why Hide and Go Boom needs to exist when the same lame concept was in 3. The Tame and Fish and Drips will never win. Tree Stomp and Hopper Pop are the same game but with a role reversal, but I feel like these formats are very hard to make without being lopsided. I actually despise Candlelight Flight for that reason, but it's slowly become one of my favorites since. Goal is pretty fun and fair, and then there's Money Belt, which stuffs the 1 player's pockets while the 3 get to share 1 coin. Battle minigames got trimmed down to only having 6 entries, and I've always found it weird that Bowser's Big Blast is here because it's the only minigame from another game, and this is something that will rarely happen again. Still goated though. Trace Race is a great inclusion, but the exact same game is here twice. Like, Paths of Peril has no business existing. It takes less skill, and the minigame is busted. You thought it was luck-based? Take a closer look. And for the other 3, I think they're all whatever. Rumble Fishing is a simpler 3-door Monty from Mario Party 3, Chain Chomp Fever is a less hectic version of Mr. Blizzard's Brigade, and Butterfly Blitz is fine, it just messes with my Animal Crossing muscle memory. And then there's the Bowser minigames, bringing back the genre of free-for-alls where 1 player loses. Darts of Doom has players throwing 3 computer-controlled darts at a target in hopes of not scoring the lowest or getting a bullseye. Balloon of Doom is a good old game of chicken, and Fruits of Doom is brutal. All you have to do is memorize the fruits Bowser asks for. I said before that the story mode includes dual minigames, and I am shocked you can't play these during game boards. Korean Koopas is one of the greatest dual minigames ever. Why is it banned? Archaeologist is great too, but then there's Luck, and 3D Whack-A-Mole. Closing out Mario Party 4, let's talk about the extra room. It's a brouhaha back here, and it has some single-player games that remind me of a tech demo more than anything. There's games that show off the GameCube controller's built-in rumble. This one finally lets us kill Toad. If you ever want to prove how good you are at predicting coin flips, they programmed a game for that. I don't know why, but there's a tournament-style volleyball game, and if you're really good, you can unlock every host but Goomba because of his background in vehicular manslaughter. There's an endless book square mode, and 2 more game boards are tucked away here with their own rules. These feature the mushrooms, and the maps are designed to maximize their value. What also sets them apart from normal boards is that everybody starts with 100 coins, there's no mini games unless Bowser's feeling generous, no stars, and shops will sell 1 randomly selected item. I've never played a full game on either board until now, and I can confidently say neither of these are fun. Mega Board Mayhem practically plays itself, and Mini Board Mad Dash has the 30% orange pipe mumbo jumbo. Theoretically, shops should make the game more interesting, but I feel like spending any coins with these rules sinks your chances of winning significantly. And the last thing I want to show off is the present room. I don't really have anything to say about them, I just thought you might want to see what they look like. I think this spot is reserved for a 100% reward, and this diorama fills up as you set records in minigames. As far as I know, the game doesn't list what the objectives are, so I've never tried to complete it. And that'll do it for Mario Party 4, the bad apple of the classic era. I genuinely have no idea how this game found itself positioned as the series' fan favorite. Its game boards and items are the worst of the 4, and you have to remember Mario Party 1 doesn't even have items. And when it comes to minigames, I'm not sure about that one either. Like, yeah, there's some gems, but on average, these are pretty mediocre. Why is this game's commercial 100 times better than the actual game?
Mario Party 4. Because it's not a party until something gets broken.
If you've seen my other Mario Party reviews, you might have noticed I never mentioned playing this game with my sister and cousins. And the reason for that is because I didn't think it was worth our limited time to play it. Like, I'm literally gatekeeping Mario Party 4, but despite all the comments I've made, the real reason I don't touch this game is because it's missing something the other entries on the GameCube have. I'll leave you guys in the dark for now, but it eclipsed everything about Mario Party 4 and became one of the most memorable parts of our childhoods. Thanks for watching the video, I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to leave a like as it'll help the channel grow, and subscribe to get updates on my uploads as soon as they happen. But until then, I will see you all next time.